Chapter 5, Mizuho Transaction Report. Back to present times, the admission of Shigeru Takasugi had caused a major blow to the sisters, particularly to Tammy, who was by far the closest to Peter. Refusing to eat, she lay sobering on the tatami floor as Amanda slowly walked into the room, carrying a reusable cup with a straw, and knelt beside her to give her a few sips of water. "Tammy, you haven't touched your food, you need to eat." "I'm really not that hungry, Amanda, but thank you." With a bowl of clean water, she soaked a hand towel and started wiping the exposed surface of Tammy's body. "You know, I remember when you were a child, you used to love bathing in a bucket, and no matter how much you almost drowned, you kept coming back to the water." "That's because I know you're there to save me." "Well, I'm still here. Don't let your grief drown you too much." A few minutes later, Amanda emerged from the room with her head bowed down, carrying a tray filled with the untouched food and a much heavier heart. After clearing away the food and washing the dishes, she spotted Shigeru talking to Lorena at the Engawa edge of the house, and sat beside them. There was a long awkward silence among the three of them. "So how is Tammy handling all of these?" Lorena asked. "She hasn't eaten anything. She blames herself for the death of Maya," Amanda replied. "Lorena, will you tell me what's going on?" she asked. Seemingly astounded by the question her sister had just asked, she paused briefly, reassessing past events with a baffled look on her face. "You said you wanted to tell me something." "What?" "Before Abby was killed, we were talking on the phone. You said you stumbled on something important." Amazed by her own forgetfulness, she tried to recall the event that took Abby's life. "The account transaction report from Mizuho," Amanda said. "You see, among the documents that Abby found, was a printout of a bank statement under the Katsuyori Foundation. Lorena, you're the one who has access to this account." With no time to waste, Lorena took out her laptop and started accessing her Mizuho bank account. As soon as she was logged in, Amanda immediately gave the dates to check, and 7 search results showed up, amounting to $3,480,000,000. "This is what Peter died for?" Lorena asked. "That would have been one of the reasons." "An insurance policy," Shigeru answered. Staring at the account transaction report, Shigeru did a quick run-through, noticing that there was one registered user. Shigeru pointing to the monitor. "Who is Alpha 3? "That's Maurice Faux's account. I gave him that user role so that he could oversee the balance of the Katsuyori Foundation for the sale of his artworks on that particular day," Lorena explained. "He logged in on Wednesday, the 7th of December 2016. "That's an incredible coincidence. I think we need to pay him a visit," Lorena suggested. Maurice Faux's fate. Saturday, September 17, 2016, with his recent purchase of a 1,151 square feet fully furnished, 2-bedroom apartment in Shibuya City, Maurice Faux sits on a lounge chair with his legs up on a solid oak round table with clear epoxy resin, smoking his cigarette, and enjoying the cityscape from the veranda. The expensive residential area has a shopping complex with a variety of shops, restaurants, bars, and a French chateau. It seems that Maurice Faux did not waste any time in spending his 30 pieces of silver, Shigeru said. The fire alarm system sounded. He tried to call the front desk of the condominium, but there was no dial tone. He went into his room, looked around, sensing that something was wrong. He tried to turn the light switch, but there was no power at all. While he was continuously trying to reach the front desk, someone came knocking at the door. "Sir, we have an unscheduled fire drill. I would have to ask you to leave the premises." Looking out through the peephole of his front door, he saw a tough-looking middle-aged security man knocking on the door. Feeling relatively secure because of a security door lock in place, he slowly opened the door but was shocked by the sudden snapping sound of the security door lock getting cut by a giant bolt cutter. Bang! Someone had kicked the door, sending him to the floor. With a snap of a finger, Amanda stormed inside, swinging the bolt cutter with such ferocity, straight to his face, causing a splash of blood to flow out of his mouth, beating him a few more times. As soon as she had enough, Shigeru dragged him to the center table and placed him on top of it, facing upwards. Then he wrapped a rope around his neck and connected the ends of the rope to his feet from below the table. When Maurice tried to shout for help, Amanda gave him another intense blow to the ribs. "Shut up!" Amanda exclaimed, putting a gag in his mouth. Squatting in front of him, Lorena started her interrogation. "First of all, I would like to apologize for my sister's savage behavior. She was raised in the slums together with prostitutes, snatchers, and drug addicts." "Very rude and disrespectful," Lorena stated rhetorically. "So this is what we're going to do. I will be asking you a few questions, and you will answer. Try not to lie, because if you do, Amanda here will surely cut off your fingers with her bolt cutter, one at a time. We would not want you to lose any of your fingers, would we?" Maurice nodded his head, trembling. Kneeling on the floor beside Maurice, Amanda placed the bolt cutter in the direction of Maurice's baby finger, while Shigeru and Lorena held him back on the table. Continuing with her interrogation, she removes the gag on his mouth. "I want you to tell me all the details of your fundraising exhibit for the Katsuyori Foundation. Starting with the Yūrei." "Who is Yūrei?" Maurice asked in the most innocent manner. And like the sound of splintering wood, the bolt cutter cut off Maurice's baby finger, causing him to scream in agony. Struggling violently, Lorena and Shigeru forcefully held him back while blood splashed all over the floor. With an icy stare, Lorena looked at Amanda in dismay. "What?" Amanda asked. Lorena gently confiscated the bolt cutter, while Maurice uttered a low cry of terror. She sighed and leaned against the couch, taking a few minutes before applying pressure to his finger using a towel. "Okay, sorry about that, but you can't say I didn't warn you. I'm telling you the truth, I have no idea what you're talking about, I know nothing about this Yūrei, and why would I lie?" Still unconvinced of his sincerity, Lorena held up his hand and snapped his middle finger, sending Maurice screaming at his lungs with so much agonizing pain. Breathing heavily, he was desperately gasping for air. "Untie him and give him some water," Lorena ordered as she walked out of his presence for a moment. Letting him drink from the bottle of water, Shigeru sat beside him and asked, "What do you know about the tent robotics?" "I was personally hired by Peter Katsuyori to look after Tammy." "For what purpose?" "His instructions were to watch her every move and influence her on some of her decisions. This had something to do with what they were doing at the tent robotics." "What were they doing?" Shigeru asked. Staring him on the face, he showed hesitance in answering. "If the tent robotics discover that I've told you their secret, they're going to kill me." "Are you serious?" "I'm going to kill you right now if you don't tell us the truth," Shigeru clarified. Right at the time when Maurice was about to speak, Lorena suddenly spotted a hovering drone equipped with a high-precision machine gun and fired at them, killing Maurice in the process. Shigeru sustained a few gunshots, but he survived miraculously.